welcome to Fenty Beauty. If this is your first time here, thanks for coming. If not, thanks for coming back. Today I'm going to be talking about the Fenty Beauty line that just launched about maybe a day or so ago. I did pick up a couple products from my local Sephora, so I'm going to give you kind of a demo on some of the products that I bought, as well as my thoughts about the products themselves after using them a couple times, and the Fenty Beauty line as a whole. So if you're interested in what I have to say, please stay tuned. I've already primed my face, applied my moisturizer and all that good stuff. I am going to start with the Stix Trio, and these have each 0.25 ounces of product in them. They come in a set where you can buy them individually. I believe there are 20 shades of the contour sticks and concealing sticks. I'm not sure how many there are of the shimmer sticks. There are 4 separate kits, light, medium, tan, and then deep. I got tan, and this comes with caramel, truffle, and rum. So just to show you really quickly before I start concealing, this is the amount of product that you get. It has some girth to it, so I'm not concerned about it really breaking while using it. It's not like a small stick. So I do have some bags underneath these eyes. So I'm gonna start there. Now normally I would color correct, but I want to show you guys the coverage without doing any sort of color correcting or anything like that. So I'm just going to get around my mouth area where I'm a little bit darker, and under my nose where I'm red. Now initially I did swatch the medium kit in stores, and I was concerned that, you know, the medium kit actually was a tad too light for me. So instead I just went ahead and got the tan, and I'm glad that I did because all the colors really do complement me quite well. This concealer, for example, does melt, you know, into my skin and blend everything out. Like I said, I didn't color correct or anything like that, but as you can see, it is doing a great job at covering a lot of, you know, my hyperpigmentation, if I can't talk and slap myself, covering my hyperpigmentation and, you know, my these bags that just will not go away, and a lot of my redness. Now this is the box that it comes in, and it makes 3 separate promises, which I will talk about. This is the packaging. It's super cute, super chic, and I initially thought that I was going to be shade like 250. However, that is way too light for me. I did get matched in the store at shade 300. However, after wearing it between yesterday and then this morning, I kind of feel like I might have to go a shade lighter to maybe 290. So I did go and get a sample for the 290, just because this does oxidize. So when it oxidizes, it's going to darken up a little bit. And I don't say this tan, unfortunately, and winter is coming. So I wanted to make sure I got one that I could wear, you know, whether it's summertime or wintertime. It's still gonna look right for me. But for now, I am going to use the shade 300, and I'm gonna put that directly onto the blender. And I used about 2 pumps. And I'm just gonna start putting that all over my face and just blending in. Now I am using the blending sponge from her collection. I initially didn't buy this, but when I went back up to get a different sample, I did pick it up just because I need another sponge. I currently use Real Techniques. I also used a beauty blender, and I was hearing good things about this, so I had to give it a shot. Now you'll notice that this is looking kind of light on me, and that's why I thought that this was my shade, but when it oxidizes, it is going to get a little bit darker. And I don't know if the, I guess, excessive darkness that I experienced this morning when I first tried this, I don't know if that was due to me not setting it with powder like I had before, or if it was just reacting to something else. Now that that is all blended in, you can see how it covers. Now let's talk about the coverage really quickly. One of the things that it says is it's medium to full coverage. As you saw, I used the sponge instead of a brush to apply it, which is usually how I would do my makeup anyway. I feel, for me anyway, this is more of a medium coverage foundation. However, there are other people saying that if you use the brush, it's going to give you more of a fuller color coverage foundation, which is fine by me, just because I don't use full coverage usually. When I have tried to use other brands, full coverage, it just feels really cakey and heavy on my skin, and I really don't like that. So the medium coverage for me is fine because it does feel very light. It doesn't feel tacky, and this is supposed to be a self-setting foundation. But you know, like I said earlier when I first recorded, I didn't set it with any type of powder, and I had experienced more oxidation than I did yesterday. So I'm gonna try, well actually I went to go buy the Fenty Beauty Universal Blotting powder, and what this promises to do is on-the-go filter effect, instant refresh. And if you get the portable touch-up brush, it does fit right here. I didn't need the brush, so I didn't purchase it. So it did come with, you know, this very luxurious, not gonna lie, little sponge. It's like a little leather feeling thing with a sponge on the bottom. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use a brush. And I'm just gonna dab that in there, tap off the excess, and I'm just gonna go under my eyes, around my mouth area, because I do tend to crease there. And then down my nose. And you know, this is I guess they call it a soft matte foundation. This is very matte. However, it's not like, I don't have any, like I do have some dry areas, even though I am mostly oily. I do have some dry areas, but I didn't feel like it really accentuated those dry patches for me, but I know for some people it has. So be mindful of that if you do decide to get this. Next, I'm gonna go back into the matchsticks, and I think I mentioned that if you get the set, these are $54, but if you get them individually, they are $25. And what's really cool about them is that they are magnetized, so they kind of stick together, which helps with if you travel and things like that. Excuse me. So I'm going to take the shade Truffle, which again is 0.25 ounces, and I'm just going to go through grab my Real Techniques expert face brush, and I'm just gonna blend all that out. For my nose, I'm actually gonna take a different brush. This one is from Royal & Langnickel Precision Angled. Just because it's a smaller brush for my nose area, that's the only reason why I'm using this versus using something else. And I did go in a little bit thick. I'm still not used to working with the shape of that contour stick yet. So I am going to go back in with my concealer just to kind of add some more light to my nose. Basically have the majority of my face done. I'm going to go back in with that brush, and I'm just going to use the blotting powder all over to set everything. Again, the foundation itself is supposed to be like a self-setting foundation. It does set pretty matte and pretty powdery, and I didn't really notice any transfer earlier when I wore it without setting it. But again, I went ahead and got the blotting powder just to be sure that that's not the reason why, that's the reason why I oxidized so badly earlier. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press that into my skin all over my face, including my highlight and, well, not my highlight, my contour areas. We're gonna actually go ahead and move on towards the highlighter stick from the Matchsticks trio, and this is shade Rum. As you can see, this is the same size as the other sticks, so 0.25 ounces of product. I also did use this on my eyelid just to see how it would work out. Now, even though I just used the blotting powder to set my foundation, I'm still going to use my finger to apply the highlight, just because this is a cream product and I don't really want it to move the rest of my foundation and everything. So I'm just gonna add a little to my forehead, a little down my nose. The magnets keep sticking everything together, but I guess that's cool since it's not gonna fall or anything like that. So I'm just gonna take a clean area and I'm just gonna pat that all in to kind of diffuse that highlight just a little bit more. I don't want it looking super harsh, but it does have a very nice glow. As you saw, it's like kind of a dark brown color, and I was very concerned about it actually being like too dark. Thinking like Anastasia Beverly Hills tourmaline, I think, shows up pretty dark on my skin tone, so I was a little bit worried about that, but it actually blends out to like a nice like soft gold. And so the last product that I did get, and even though I'm not really a glossy girl, I did decide to get the gloss, and I think that a lot of people have been using it with a lip liner, but I'm actually going to use it without. So it's called the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Universal Lip Luminizer, and it's in the shade Fenty Glow. Now, if I remember correctly, she only released one shade, and it's supposed to be a universal shade for all skin tones. Again, it looked like in some of the promo videos that they were using, you know, maybe a lip liner or something just to kind of add that. But I'm just gonna go in without. It smells really good too. So it is quite glossy, and this is what it is looking like. It's kind of like a nude pink without any sort of lip liner. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it, to be honest with y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and then find a lip liner and try it again. So I'm actually just gonna go in with Bite Beauty Lip Pencil in 044. The color might be called Whiskey, but I could be wrong. So I'm just gonna lightly line my lips. I don't really want it to be this color, but just to get some definition. And grab that Gloss Bomb again. And it is a doe foot applicator. It is pretty big, but it's not like unmanageable. Like I said, I'm really not a glossy girl, but paired with that lip pencil, I'm actually kind of liking this. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix my hair and all that good stuff, and then I'm gonna give you guys my final thoughts, show you some swatches of the actual products that I used on my face, and you know, just some overall words about the Fenty Beauty brand. So I'm going to leave a picture of the swatches and everything marked out so you can actually see an up close look at everything that I used on my face today. Just a couple final thoughts on Fenty Beauty and some of the products that I had. So I started to talk about this a little bit earlier. With the foundation, it makes 3 separate promises, and one is being medium to full coverage, and I believe it's more medium coverage for me, but I also didn't apply with a brush. Supposedly, if you apply with a brush, it's going to be a little bit more full coverage for you, and if that's your thing, that's what you got to do. I actually used the Fenty Beauty sponge to apply mine, so it did go on a little bit more medium coverage. However, I don't have any complaints about the coverage. I'm not a full coverage kind of girl anyway, so I actually like the fact that, you know, it's not heavy on my face, and I'm getting the coverage that I really need. The other thing it says is long wear, and I wore this for about 8+ hours yesterday, and then also again for about 5 or 6 hours today. The only downside to it as far as the long wear that I can see is the oxidation, just because it does tend to oxidize after a while. So it is something you might want to keep in mind when you go to pick your shade. Me personally, what I would do is get a sample, try it out for a day or two, and then go back and buy it if it's something that you like. I used shade 300 today. I might actually go down to shade 290 just because once my summer tan is gone, this might be too dark for me, including the oxidation. The last thing that it promises, along with the Match Stix Trio, is that it's going to be light as air. That I will definitely say Fenty Beauty definitely delivered on that. It doesn't really feel like there's anything on my face. It doesn't feel tacky, and the foundation is supposed to be a little bit more self-setting, but I did use the blotting powder, which, you know, initially I didn't buy it because I didn't think I would need it, but it does feel really great combined with the foundation and the contour and the concealer. And you know, this is probably something I'll keep in my purse just because it is cute, and you know, has the little mirror, and you know, this has 0.3 ounces of product in it, and I didn't have a lot of fallout when using it with a brush, so I think it'll last me quite a long time. The last thing that well, not the last thing, excuse me. The other thing is the Beauty Blender, or the, let me call it the right name, Precision Makeup Sponge. I was actually very happy with this. You know, it retails for $16, and I usually do use Real Techniques, but this is a very sturdy sponge, and I would even dare say it's comparable to Beauty Blender in how it feels and all that stuff. We'll see how it holds up after I wash it a couple times, but for now, I'll probably use this a little bit more than I would use my Real Techniques, just because this feels really nice and it does blend quite well, especially with this foundation. The last thing that I'm going to talk about, hey Kwani, she's texted me, so when you see this, hey boo. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the gloss. Now, what you see on my lips is the gloss, but you'll see in the swatch pictures, you know, what the true color is. I actually used a, if you watched earlier and didn't skip ahead to here, I did use a, you know, deep red lip liner just because I felt like it needed a little bit more structure. I'm not really a gloss girl, so that could be the reason why, you know, I just kind of wasn't feeling it as it was. But with the lip liner, this is something that I could definitely say I'd be interested in wearing. I don't know how it will hold up eating and drinking, but we'll have to find out about that. I do like, you know, matte lipsticks and liquid lipsticks just because I like to eat. You know, so I need something that will hold up while I'm stuffing my face, and I don't know if this will be able to do that, but it is a very pretty shade, and it does complement a lot of the lip liners that I do have, just because most of them are some sort of dark red. So I actually, you know, I can't say I would use this too often just because I'm not really a glossy lip girl, but it is a very pretty shade, and I know it was made in mind of being a universal shade for everybody just because this was the only lip product that she came out with. I think I said earlier this retails for $18. Overall, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't plan on, you know, going out yesterday and today to go and, you know, buy anything from the Fenty line. I've heard about it, I was excited about it, and very excited mostly because of the fact that, you know, that they had so many diverse shades. It was an opportunity to kind of put a spotlight on the need for, you know, larger shade ranges, especially for women of color. A lot of long-standing brands, their darkest shade stops at like my shade, and I'm by no means, you know, the darkest end of the spectrum, but there are people who, you know, need that. Now, one of the biggest arguments that I hear about that, which is, you know, bullshit in my opinion, is that, you know, people who are deeper tones aren't buying makeup, and it's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Reason being is like, okay, they're not buying makeup, but there isn't makeup for their skin tone, so why not give them the opportunity to have the shade to see if it actually will sell, for one, and for two, how they gonna buy it if it's not available for them? Like, that's crazy. But a lot of times when I go into especially drugstore makeup, the last shade that they have is like my shade, and I'm more obviously medium/tan, you know, I'm not on the deeper end of the spectrum. So there's a whole section of people who aren't able to get, you know, matched correctly because they're businesses, and like I said, a lot of well-established brands aren't providing them. So for me, you know, being able to support this brand and buying stuff from that brand really was, you know, to get behind the idea of, hey, there are 40 different shade ranges. 40 different shades of foundation for different types of skin tones, undertones, you know. I read that even it was taking in consideration for people who have vitiligo or people who have albinism. The other thing that I did want to mention, and which may seem silly to a lot of people, but I appreciated that this was not a limited release. And when I say that, I mean, you know, a lot of these other companies will come out and do a limited release of oh so many kits of some sort, and then everyone's scrambling to try to buy them, and then you have people who will resell them, you know, for twice or triple the price. Like, I'm saving my coins, I'm not doing that. You know, if I can't get it for retail or on sale, I'm not buying it. But there are people who do that, and it's kind of bullshit because they're manufacturing this fake, you know, supply and demand thing when Fenty Beauty just showed you don't have to do that. You know, you can actually come out and make enough products for people to have them. I know when I went on the website after it launched that morning, I was very surprised to see everything wasn't sold out. Even when I went to Sephora, I was very surprised to see that everything wasn't sold out. So overall, I am very impressed with this line. I'm hoping to see a lot more from Fenty Beauty. Maybe some eyeshadows or something to that effect, but you know, like I said, I think that they did a good job, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So if you like this video, please subscribe, like, share. If you guys have tried the products, let me know what you think down there. If you have any ideas for any other videos or anything else that you would like for me to review, drop it below and I'll see what I can do about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.